It's midnight and you are tuning in to Nightline with me, Sabri Zainal. The top stories. Malaysia and Turkey's cooperation upgraded to comprehensive strategic partnership. And Boris Johnson resigns as British Prime Minister. We begin with this story. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan have agreed to upgrade Malaysia and Turkey's cooperation to a comprehensive strategic partnership, CSP, to further strengthen economic and commercial cooperation. The enhanced partnership, among others, will see both countries working together to ensure their food supply chains remain adequate and stable.
In a joint media conference at the presidential complex in Ankara on Thursday, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said he and Erdogan concurred that the food security issue had become increasingly worrisome due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine conflict. He added among the immediate steps taken by Malaysia and Turkey to tackle this issue was boosting trade in food products and maintaining their cooperation in sharing information and experiences.
Pada masa yang sama, Malaysia dan Turki akan memperkasakan penyelidikan dan pembangunan R&D dalam sektor makanan bagi meningkatkan keupayaan menghasilkan sumber makanan dan kelangsungan sekuriti makanan untuk berada pada tahap yang stabil.
Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri further said that the two countries were in the final round of the Malaysia-Turkey Free Trade Agreement MTFTA scope expansion negotiations, which covers new sectors such as services and e-commerce to open up more two-way investment opportunities. Both leaders also agreed for Malaysia and Turkey to set up Islamic digital banking to explore the huge potential of the sector in the Republic, as well as discussed the potential for Turkey to increase the import of Malaysia's palm oil. The Prime Minister also said he had conveyed to Erdogan the good news that the Malaysian government had accorded recognition to degrees from 208 universities in Turkey. The Turkish president also revealed that the Republic was planning to launch its locally produced COVID-19 vaccine, Turcovac, in Malaysia. During their meeting at the presidential palace, the Prime Minister and his host also witnessed the signing of 7 memorandums of understanding, MOUs, between Malaysian and Turkish officials from both the government and private sectors, paving the way for further cooperation and sharing of knowledge in various fields, including science, defense, and technology. Turkey is Malaysia's third biggest trading partner in the Middle East after Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, with total trade between the two countries hitting 16.97 billion ringgit last year. Earlier, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri was accorded an official welcoming ceremony at the presidential complex in Ankara. He was received by Erdogan himself at 12:40 p.m. local time. Immediately after his arrival, the national anthem of Malaysia, Negaraku, and the Turkish national anthem were played, followed by a 21-gun salute. The Prime Minister was then accompanied by Erdogan to inspect a guard of honor before being introduced to the Republic's cabinet members. Both leaders then proceeded to hold a four-eyed meeting, followed by a delegation meeting between Malaysia and Turkey. Before heading to the presidential palace, the Prime Minister paid his respects for Turkey's modern founding father, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, at the Kemal Atatürk Memorial. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri is in the country on a 4-day official visit at the invitation of the Turkish president. He is scheduled to depart for home on Friday.
Meanwhile, both Malaysia and Turkey are committed to accelerate the completion of negotiations on the expansion of the Malaysia-Turkey Free Trade Agreement, or MTFTA, as soon as possible. Senior International Trade and Industry Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin Ali, in a statement on Thursday, said this includes the commitment for concessions in respect of trade in services, e-commerce and investment. He said in committing to fast-track the completion of negotiations, both sides further acknowledged that such an expansion offers immense opportunities for Malaysia and Turkey to enjoy and optimize their respective trade balance. This was among the outcomes of the bilateral meeting between Datuk Seri Azmin and his Turkish counterpart, Dr. Mehmet Mus, in Istanbul on Wednesday. Under the MTFTA, both countries will optimize and use the concession tariffs provided. The expanded MTFTA package will also facilitate the movement of professionals and skilled workers to supply their services in the Turkish and Malaysian markets. Moving on, any decision involving the overnight policy rate, or OPR, is out of the government's jurisdiction. According to Finance Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz, any manipulation or government intervention in any monetary policy decision will affect the integrity of the market.
Tak ada tanpa campur tangan kerajaan persekutuan. Ini termasuk keputusan-keputusan sebelum ini serta yang terkini untuk menaikkan ataupun menurunkan OPR. Kebebasan ini sebenarnya termaktub dalam Akta Bank Negara Malaysia 2009. Ini bermakna kerajaan Malaysia tidak boleh mengarahkan Bank Negara Malaysia untuk naik atau turunkan OPR.
He added the decision is able to curb the outflow of investment that would cause ringgit to depreciate even worse. Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul also stressed that the 2.2 to 5% rate was low compared to the 3% rate before pandemic, and OPR rate at other countries such as the United States, New Zealand and the United Kingdom, which have increased their interest rate over 100 basis points. The decision to increase the OPR rate was made after taking into account external factors, including inflation pressure.
People, processes, building systems, getting premises and assets maintained to its highest standards, facilities management, its post-pandemic potential, and its outlook in Malaysia. I'll be speaking with Azruddin Rashid of Uda Holdings Berhad this Saturday, 5 p.m, only on TV3.
The Jihad Against Inflation Special Task Force has instructed agencies involved to find a mechanism to reduce the retail price of cooking oil following the decline in crude palm oil prices. Its chairman, Tan Sri Anwar Musa, said the agencies, including the Malaysian Palm Oil Board, MPOB, were instructed to hold engagement sessions with 22 palm oil producers in search for a mechanism for the purpose.
Kita mendapati pada masa ini ada trend menurun harga minyak sawit yang terbaru ialah pada kadar kira-kira 3,800. Sekiranya minyak sawit turun di bawah paras tertentu, paras 3,750. Kita ingin memohon kerjasama daripada pengilang-pengilang dan membuat persiapan untuk menurunkan harga minyak yang dijual secara retail. Adalah tidak adil harga itu telah dinaikkan atas alasan harga minyak yang naik tinggi baru-baru ini, dan apabila harga minyak turun, harga di peringkat retail tidak turut diturunkan.
Tan Sri Anwar said this in a media conference after chairing the Special Task Force's meeting in Putrajaya on Thursday. He also urged manufacturers and retailers to give their commitment to lower the price of cooking oil being sold when the actual palm oil price rate dropped below the threshold value. Meanwhile, Tan Sri Anwar pointed out that a large-scale and comprehensive Keluarga Malaysia sales program with improved methods will be implemented nationwide. He added more premises and items would be featured in the program to be organized in 3 weeks' time. The Special Task Force also decided to fully utilize the 100 million ringgit allocation in order to make the program a success compared to 12 million ringgit spent so far. The government is in the midst of testing the mechanism for the targeted fuel subsidy system, but no timeline has been set for the execution. Finance Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz said the government was currently testing several proposals on the table to determine the best measures for execution before presenting it to the cabinet.
So B40, M40, we should continue with the subsidy, but ensuring that the system and the execution is right, can work is also important. But in the long term, it's something that the government believe it has to be done. But we need to ensure that when we do it properly, so those that should receive it will not miss out, right? So that is the plan for us to ensure that the system is really ready.
Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul added, based on a study by Bank Negara, for every RM1 of fuel subsidy, 53 sen goes to the T20 group, while 15 sen is utilized by the B40. He also said he would go on the ground to petrol stations to test the mechanisms or the platform proposed to the government. The government had previously estimated that the subsidies for this year will reach 77.7 billion ringgit, including for fuel, which will reach 30 billion ringgit. Three new management systems will be introduced soon to streamline education operations among teachers and schools nationwide. Senior Education Minister Datuk Dr. Radzi Jidin said the Education Ministry was looking at improving the school timetable utility system as well as teaching and learning report system to ensure they were standardized and cost efficient.
Supaya kita ambil kira apakah keluhan-keluhan di bawah sana, bila siap nanti sistem itu memenuhi keperluan mereka. Ini di peringkat perbincangan dengan pemegang-pemegang taruh dalam konteks ini pentadbir-pentadbir sekolah. Dan insya-Allah kita akan usahakan ianya dapat dilaksanakan secepat mungkin. We are working hard on that supaya perkara ini, kecekapan ini dapat kita tingkatkan segera.
He said this to reporters at the Digital Utilization and Technology Award 2021 ceremony in Kuala Lumpur on Thursday. Dr. Radzi added that out of the three systems in the pipeline, the utilities system was almost ready and would be used at schools nationwide by the end of this year. After this breather, price spikes push 71 million people into poverty. Don't go away.
And now Sancho goes on the outside. Sancho! Still offside.
Mampukah Erik ten Hag merubah nasib United? Atau Jurgen Klopp terus lebarkan rekod Liverpool? Pertembungan pramusim dua gergasi Liga Perdana Inggeris hanya di TV 9 dan Astro 149.
We're back with foreign news. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has resigned as leader of Britain's Conservative Party on Thursday, paving the way for the selection of a new Prime Minister. The 58-year-old announced that he would step down after a slew of resignations from his top team, but would stay on as Prime Minister until a replacement is found.
It is clearly now the will of the Parliamentary Conservative Party that there should be a new leader of that party and therefore a new Prime Minister. And I've agreed with Sir Graham Brady, the chairman of our backbench MPs, that the process of choosing that new leader should begin now. And the timetable will be announced next week. And I've today appointed a cabinet to serve, as I will, until a new leader is in place.
Johnson had clung to power for 2 days, defiantly telling lawmakers on Wednesday that he had a colossal mandate from voters and intended to get on with the business of government. The leader, however, was forced to concede defeat Thursday morning after 2 more members of his cabinet quit, and one of his closest allies, Treasury Chief Nadhim Zahawi, publicly told him to resign for the good of the country. It was understood that the leadership election will take place over the summer, and the victor will replace Johnson by the party's annual conference in early October.
Moments after Boris Johnson publicly announced his resignation as British Prime Minister, some parties have voiced their views, with majority of them reacting jubilantly to Johnson's exit.
He needs to go completely. None of this nonsense about clinging on for a few months. He's inflicted lies, fraud and chaos in the country. And, we're stuck with a government which isn't functioning in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And all of those that have been propping him up should be utterly ashamed of themselves.
I think first and foremost there will be an overwhelming and very widespread sense of relief today that Boris Johnson's time as Prime Minister, which should probably never have been allowed to happen in the first place, is coming to an end.
UK Foreign Minister Liz Truss, in a tweet posted Thursday, stated that Boris Johnson has made the right decision in stepping down as Conservative leader, adding that the government needs calmness and unity after dozens of ministers quit the scandal-hit government.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has increased key interest rates on Thursday by a full percentage point to stem record inflation. The standing lending facility rate was raised to 15.5%, while the standing deposit facility rate rose by the same amount to 14.5%, the highest in 21 years. Prior to Thursday's decision, the country's central bank had raised interest rates by 850 basis points since the beginning of the year, even as its economy contracted in the first quarter, marking the beginning of a painful and long recession for the country. The decision comes as inflation touched a record 54.6% year-on-year in June, while food inflation accelerated to 80.1%. The United Nations on Thursday reported that soaring inflation rates have seen an increase in the number of poor people in developing countries by 71 million in the 3 months since March this year.
The rise in the developing world's poverty rates over the past 3 months is drastically faster than the shock of the COVID-19 pandemic amid the price surges, in part on the war in Ukraine. This cost of living crisis is tipping millions of people into poverty and starvation at breathtaking speed, causing the threat of increased social unrest to grow by the day. In order to address the growing issue, the United Nations Development Programme said targeted cash transfers to households are more equitable and more cost-effective than blanket energy subsidies. However, it added that governments will need support from the multilateral system to make ends meet. Among the countries facing the most severe consequences of surging prices includes Armenia, Uzbekistan, Burkina Faso, Kenya, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nigeria, and Yemen.
Russia's defense ministry on Thursday said that the country's warplane struck and killed an unspecified number of Ukrainian troops on Snake Island in the Black Sea after they landed there to raise the Ukrainian flag. It said several Ukrainian servicemen landed on the island at about 5 a.m. local time from a motorboat and took pictures with the flag. An aircraft of the Russian Aerospace Forces immediately launched a strike with high-precision missiles on Snake Island, as a result of which part of the Ukraine military personnel was destroyed. Earlier, Ukrainian President's Chief of Staff, Andriy Yermak, posted a video on Telegram of 3 soldiers raising a large Ukrainian flag on the island, from which Russian forces withdrew on June 30th after coming under heavy bombardment from Ukrainian artillery. Sports badminton, the Pro Dua Malaysia Masters 2022. National women's doubles pair Anna Ching Yik Cheong, Mei Jing Teo gained sweet revenge when they stunned 5th seeds Wakana Nagahara Mayu Matsumoto of Japan to reach the quarterfinals.
The world number 37, Anna and Mei, thoroughly dominated the game in both sets and just needed 38 minutes to send the Japanese pair home with a 21-11, 21-15 victory. The result meant that the national duo had successfully avenged their heartbreaking 2022 Malaysia Open quarterfinals exit last week, losing in 15-21, 21-23 to the same pair. Anna and Mei will have a chance to produce an upset on Friday as they will face world number 11 Jung Na-eun, Kim Hae-jung from Korea. National number 1 women's doubles pair Pearly Tan Tina gave further cheer to home fans as they pulled off an upset against 4th-seeded Yuki Fukushima Sayaka Hirota of Japan. Pearly and Tina produced a sizzling display to beat the 3-time World Championships runners-up after posting a straight sets victory 21-14, 21-19. Waiting for them in Friday's quarterfinals, newly crowned Malaysia Open champions Apriyani Rahayu Siti Fadia Silva Ramadanti of Indonesia. Meanwhile, Go Soon Huat, Siobhan Laijami are left with shouldering Malaysia's mixed doubles challenge after 3 other national pairs crashed out of the tournament on Thursday. The professional pair scored a straight games victory, 21-15, 22-20, over Hafiz Faizal Surinakani of Indonesia to cruise into the quarterfinals. The pair will face second seeds Zheng Siwei, Huang Yazhong of China.
Turning to tennis now, the 2022 Wimbledon Championships. Rafael Nadal overcame injury concerns and a stubborn Taylor Fritz to reach the semi-finals following an enthralling 5-set counter.
Nadal lost the first set 3-6 before taking the second set 7-5. Fritz then took the third set 6-3 as he took advantage of Nadal's abdominal issues. Nadal, however, proved too strong to break as he overcame the injury and clinched a 7-5, 7-6 win in the final 2 sets. The Spaniard next faces Nick Kyrgios on Friday for a place in Sunday's final, where he could once again face arch-rival Novak Djokovic. Kyrgios earlier reached a career-first semi-final at Wimbledon after securing a straight sets win over Christian Garin. The Australian claimed a 6-4, 6-3, 7-6 victory on Court 1, setting a thrilling semi-final clash with Nadal.
Couple found dead, possibly murdered by family member. This and more after this breather. Thanks for staying with us. A husband and wife were found dead with their bodies covered in blood in the living room of their house, believed to have been killed by their own family member in Taman Bercham Aman in Ipoh, Perak on Thursday morning. District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Yahya Hassan said they received information about the incident after the husband's elder brother lodged a police report at the Bercham Police Station at 8:50 a.m.
The deceased were identified as 64-year-old mechanic Ng Chen Hon and 59-year-old housewife Ui Tin Lu. According to the police report, the complainant said he found his younger brother and sister-in-law unconscious and covered in blood when he returned home after work.
Siasatan polis yang dijalankan mendapati kedua-duanya mangsa ini telah mati akibat kecederaan disebabkan senjata tajam dan juga objek tumpul menyebabkan kedua-dua mangsa ini mati di tempat kejadian.
Based on preliminary investigation, it was found that there was a fight in the house and both victims were believed to have died on Wednesday night. However, no weapons were found at the scene. The two bodies have been taken to the Raja Permaisuri Bainon Hospital for post-mortem. Authorities are currently on the hunt for Chun Hon's younger brother, known as Ng Chun Ming, who disappeared with the victim's Proton Saga car. The unemployed suspect had a previous criminal record related to causing serious injuries, and anyone with information on the case has been urged to come forward. The motive of the incident has yet been determined, and the case was being investigated under the Penal Code for murder.
In Pahang, 3 men have been remanded for 7 days to assist police investigations for their alleged involvement in the robbery cum murder of a village headman's wife at Felda Mengkuang in Bura on Tuesday. State Deputy Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Yusri Hassan Basri said the 3 in their 30s were detained at separate locations between Wednesday night and Thursday morning.
In a statement, Datuk Yusri said police also recovered the stolen Honda City car belonging to the deceased 60-year-old husband. He added that they were still gathering more details on the case, including the motive. On July 5th, 52-year-old Siti Zuliana Said was found strangled with a cell phone charging cable in an apparent robbery at her house. Her husband, who is the Kampung Felda Mengkuang village headman, also sustained injuries in the 6 a.m. incident. The robbers escaped with 6,000 ringgit cash and the Honda City.
Queen Elizabeth II's dazzling coronation dress is on display again in honor of her Platinum Jubilee year. The Queen's coronation exhibition, which opened at Windsor Castle on Thursday, not only includes the Queen's famous coronation dress designed by Sir Norman Hartnell for her 1953 coronation, it also includes a collection of jewellery, including the dazzling necklace and earrings she wore on the historic day. Visuals of the exhibition wrap up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Sabri Zainal. Thank you for tuning in and stay safe, Malaysia.